Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate the being here with the group. I'm going to show a slide deck in a little while, but first of all, I just want to introduce myself and say how glad I am to be with all of you. This is a really big group, and very impressed by all the different organizations that are being represented and the diversity of your interests. And there's a lot of overlap with my own interests. So I'll tell you a bit more about myself first. So I am the executive director of Diablo Firesafe Council. And Diablo Firesafe Council is a 25-year-old nonprofit organization, and we work in both Contra Costa County and in Alameda County. Our entire service area is both of those counties. And the Firesafe Council is a type of organization that some of you may be familiar with and others may not. But I'll tell you about what that kind of organization is in just a moment. I am myself a nonprofit person. I've been in the nonprofit field my whole career, and I've worked as an executive director and also as a fundraising consultant and as a director of development on staff with different organizations. I've been doing fundraising for 33 years, and I love fundraising. I'm actually very see it as a very creative art. I've worked with many different nonprofits. I came to Diablo Firesafe Council from a very eclectic background in nonprofits, but I had never worked for a fire safety organization. But I wanted to work with something that was local and also practical, and that also connected with fire safety because I am a resident of Oakland and I live in the WUI. So I'm in the wildland urban interface and in a high fire risk area. And I live about a mile from where the Keller Avenue fire was in October. And I remember that morning waking up and smelling smoke and knowing there was something burning and then seeing the entire unfolding of that right in my backyard, literally. And I was so relieved to see the Cal Fire helicopters arriving with fuel retardant and water that they were dumping on the fire. And I was also, because of my role with Diablo Firesafe Council, I was receiving text messages from Ed Ori, who is our advisory board member with Cal Fire. So I felt very safe despite what was unfolding. And the fire was contained rapidly. The Oakland Fire Department and 14 different fire districts worked together to contain that fire very rapidly within about 24 hours. And so this is why I'm here and why I'm doing this work is that I care about the safety of my own home. I care about the safety of my neighbors. I have elderly neighbors who live next door, one of whom has dementia. And the day of that Keller fire, I called them and let them know there was a wildfire fairly close by. They had no idea that anything was happening. And I let them know that if we were to have to evacuate, that I would make sure that we helped them to evacuate. So this is where the idea of fire safety comes home. It's really becoming more and more evident, as Lisa said at the beginning. So I came into this job fresh. I had no background in fire safety. I do have a tremendous love for the environment. I've been an environmental executive director and activist for decades. And when I moved to Oakland and moved into the home where I live now, I started a 20-year process to turn it into an herb farm. So it's a micro herb farm now where I'm growing drought tolerant medicinal herbs, and many of which are highly flammable. Unfortunately, the more drought tolerant they are, the more woody they tend to be. And so I'm learning how to manage with the realities that we have. I also have a gray water system that I had installed at my house to take advantage of all of the used bath water and sink water from the bathrooms. It goes directly to my landscaping and to my mature trees on my property, which had been over the long drought we had a couple of years ago, had actually started to die. These are mature trees, like very, very large trees. So I'm seeing with my own eyes is what I'm saying. The reason why we need to have organizations like Diablo Firesafe Council and like the organizations that you're working with, working together to increase fire safety and planning for fire safety. So that's why I'm here, and I'm so grateful to Ben Weiss, who's here. Ben is on the board of directors of Diablo Firesafe Council, and he has been making introductions for me. So I've been introduced to several of you and to Lisa, and I'm just grateful to be out sharing information about what we do, learning about what you're doing. I see this as being a chance for a really good conversation, but just the beginning of a conversation and also a relationship of working together. I was really smiling every time one of you said you were helping the monarch butterflies, or you're removing invasives, or you're planting natives. That's something that we really truly embrace. So, a bit about the Firesafe Councils. So, the Firesafe Council is a type of nonprofit, and it formed after the 1991 Oakland Hills fire, the tunnel fire. Prior to that, there hadn't been an organization type like this, but because of that fire, which was the most devastating fire in California history as far as wildfires, with over $1 billion in damage to property and almost 4,000 houses and structures destroyed, and 25 people lost their life in that fire. And it had not really, there had never been any kind of event like that with the very strong winds. Some of you, I'm sure, remember it. Some of you are probably too young to remember it. I remember it. It was in 1991 in October, and there was a windstorm where the winds were coming from the east to the coast. So these are the Diablo winds. They reverse direction from the usual offshore flow where they're flowing from the ocean to the interior. And they reached wind speeds that were equivalent to a hurricane level of winds, up to 100 miles per hour in the hills. And there was a fire that started in a backyard in a neighborhood overlooking Highway 24, where the Caldecott Tunnel is. And because of the winds, the fire rapidly increased in size and spread. And it got so large that the Oakland Fire Department could not continue to fight it. The firefighters could not enter into the fire area. It turned into a firestorm, and it also jumped the highway. It jumped from one side to the other, so it was unprecedented. And given the destruction and loss of life, the state decided that there was more need for organization and planning, and that there needed to be more coordination. At that time, there wasn't much of a warning system. There were neighbors in the area who were unaware that there was a fire raging right in their backyards until it was on them. And there were firefighters and police officers from the Oakland Fire Department and Police Department who lost their lives walking the streets, going door to door, evacuating people, just with minutes to spare in some cases. And so it was recognized there was a need for more organization, planning, communication, warning systems, training for firefighters and for public first responders to be able to respond to this sort of thing. So one of the things that happened was the state asked for the formation of the fire safe councils, and now there are fire safe councils all over the state. And ours is one of the older ones at 25 years old. We just celebrated our anniversary last year. And our work up to now has primarily focused on helping neighbors work together to reduce their fire risk. So we have a cost share program that we call the Partners in Wildfire Prevention Program. If you go to our website at diablofiresafe.org, you can find out more about that program and our other work. But this is the core of our work. It has been for decades, in that we encourage neighbors to work together to create more defensible space around their homes. So in accordance with the state mandate for 100 feet of defensible space around homes in the high risk fire areas. We are providing a cost share match for people that live in these areas and for the neighbors that are working together to do the work. And we reward people for working together, doing sweat equity, doing their own work, documenting it, their own work days together, their volunteer work together, and also for paying for the cost of removing debris or dead trees. And we provide a match up to $5,000 for these neighbor groups, five households or more working together. It's been a very successful program. It's funded by CAL FIRE, and it's helped scores of neighbors get this defensible space going. So that's a main thing that we do. And then more recently, we started a home hardening program. This is taking it to a new level. We're working with FireWise communities, which are those communities that have gone through a process to get certified as FireWise communities, meaning they've gone to a higher level of creating defensible space and creating communication systems to help each other during the risk of a fire. And we work with these FireWise communities and provide them with information about home hardening, which is where they are taking steps to make their homes as hardened as possible against a wildfire. And people ask me all the time, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to have a hardened home? What it means basically is that you are working to make the home itself less likely to ignite in a wildfire. So the main things in a wildfire are the embers that are blowing. If the flames come up to the structure and ignite the structure, or the heat of the flames. If it's hot enough, even if there's no flame touching a house, it can still ignite. So we're teaching people about these things and what to do with their home, like increasing the space between their home and any landscaping. This is a new rule from the state called Zone Zero that hasn't yet gone into enforcement, but some fire districts are starting to inspect for this and starting to recommend to homeowners that they begin doing this. There will eventually be citations, most likely for anybody who doesn't comply. It will be difficult to do this. There's many established neighborhoods with landscaping, old landscaping, beloved landscaping. I definitely understand the difficulty, but it will be an improvement because what we're looking at is the first 5 feet from the foundation of the house out. They want to be free of anything flammable, any flammable plants, mulch, bark chips, patio furniture, that sort of thing is not. It's not possible to have that in Zone Zero, and also the house itself, there are things that need to be protected. The house is very vulnerable through the vents that we have along the bottom of the house or in the attic for ventilation. And we're recommending that people go to having a much finer metal mesh over those openings, or they keep debris out of the gutters. You know how when the winds blow, there's pine needles and things in the gutters. So we're asking people to remove that, showing them how they can put screening over their gutters, and also other things that they can do. Their choice of decking material, alternatives to wood decking, which is highly flammable. So the home hardening program is fairly new. We piloted it 2 years ago. We've been going strong, working in both counties, Alameda County and Contra Costa County. So those are the main things that we're doing, but we have recently started something new, and I'm very proud of our selection to lead this process. And this is the main reason why I'm here with you today, is to talk about planning. So there's no way that we can prevent wildfires completely. There will always be a risk. And as we can see from the news, even today, what's going on in Southern California, Even if homes are hardened, even if there's defensible space, there sometimes is no way to prevent the fire from causing some destruction. But what we can do is minimize the impact, and we can reduce the chance of it causing that kind of destruction or loss of life. And that's where why I'm here is to encourage us all to begin thinking about the ways that we can coordinate more. So I'm a newcomer. I came into this field, and the first thing that I observed is that this is a very fragmented field. Fire safety is very fragmented. We have different fire jurisdictions. We have county fire districts. We have municipal fire districts. We have different government agencies involved in planning. We have grassroots citizens groups working on fire safety. We have academics. We have tribal groups, corporate entities that own property, and everything else. And there's not a lot of communication. Even 33 years after the tunnel fire, there's been so much improvement, and the work that CAL FIRE is doing is making a difference, but there's much, much more needed. And so I observed this is so fragmented. There is not a lot of awareness from one jurisdiction to another as to what the other is doing. And there are plans at different levels, but not all the plans are integrated. They're kind of operating independently. So there's really nobody here on this call who's in professional firefighting or in a fire district. So you may not be aware that there are required plans at the local level, at the municipal level, that the state requires for cities and incorporated areas to be in compliance with state law. And those are the local hazard plans. So the city where you live, wherever it may be, if it's an incorporated area, incorporated city, it will have a plan. And the fire district is responsible for implementing that and for achieving the goals set out in that plan. But that's the only required plan, the only mandated plan throughout the state is at that local level. But there are other levels of planning, and this is where it's getting interesting. So we're at a time now where I feel we're at a tipping point, and we're starting to see the plans becoming a bit more integrated, and we're also seeing them operating at different levels. And I'm really hopeful that maybe in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to have plans that communicate from the top level down to the local level. So, in addition to the local plans, we also have what's called the Community Wildfire Prevention Plans, the CWPPs. If anybody's heard of that, please raise your hand or just make a comment in the chat. I'd be interested to hear what you're familiar with. Perhaps some of you in your agencies or your organizations have participated in giving input to a CWPP. They're frequently at a county level, and they are designed to bring together stakeholders and to start identifying priorities that need attention. And they could be everything from educational based activities to building fire breaks to increasing inspections with homeowners. It can vary widely. And these CWPPs are updated every 2 years or so, and then they go to either the county board of supervisors usually for approval and are adopted. But the thing about the CWPPs is that they are not mandated. There's no enforcement of them. There's nobody going over them at the end to say, did we accomplish everything in this plan? Or was this plan relevant? So we're still working. You see, we're still working to make the plans coherent. We're still working to make the plans make sense. But there's another level, and this is the level where Diablo Firesafe Council is now providing some leadership is with another higher level of plan called the Regional Prioritization Plan, the RPP, and RPPs are also being created throughout the state. They were created over the last several years, and there's an RPP right now for Alameda County and Contra Costa County that the CCRCD and the Alameda County RCD work together as leaders to create in 2022. So Ben's very familiar with this, and many of you are as well. And so this is where we come in. I'm going to show you my slide deck in just a moment, and I will also pause for a few questions here before I dive into it. And after I show you the deck, we'll have a bit of a conversation. I'd love to hear thoughts and ideas about how do we integrate the plans more and how do we make the plans relevant for your own organizations and agencies. But first of all, the RPP that we're working on, it was done in 2022, now must be updated, and Diablo Firesafe Council received a large grant from the State Coastal Conservancy to lead the effort to update the plan. So that's why I think I'm here talking with all of you in the watershed forum, because it's watersheds are the focus of the State Coastal Conservancy, as well as the coastline or the watersheds. And water and fire, of course, naturally are associated. And there are reasons why we should coordinate more for those who are interested in these issues. And so the plan that we're looking at is being updated now. And Diablo Firesafe Council is doing outreach and reaching out to stakeholders like yourself and others, like I described before, all different kinds of organizations, people, and asking them what kinds of work are needed in their view. Where are they working, and what projects do they have that could have a very strong positive impact on fire safety for everybody in this region? And so we're gathering proposals from the groups. We've been having stakeholder meetings, and the slide deck that I'm about to show you was presented on December 5th at our last stakeholder meeting. And I'd like to just run through it with you and also show you the plan that I'm talking about, the regional plan for Alameda County and Contra Costa County. In addition, just to make things interesting and also helping to integrate the plans, Diablo Firesafe Council also received a grant from CAL FIRE to update the Alameda County CWPP, and we're doing that simultaneously so that the plans align better. So I'm going to show you the two right now. So let's see, I'm going to share my screen 1 second. Actually, I said I would pause. Let me pause just for a second. Does anybody have any question before I plunge on in? I'm covering a lot of ground. And feel free to unmute yourself. I'd be happy to have people talk. Jennifer, do you have a comment?
Yes. Am I there? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you say again what does CWPP stand for? I know Community Wildfire
Prevention plan.
Prevention Plan. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know there's in this fire safety field, and I'm new here. I have to smile. It's like an alphabet soup of acronyms and names, and in every meeting I get asked what a different acronym means by different people. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. 1 second. Oops, here we go. Can everybody see it?
Not quite yet.
Not quite yet. Let's see what's going on. All right, we should be in there now. How about now?
Yes. But you'll want to do, right now we just see the like edit mode.
Yeah, here, let's get in there. Sorry about that. Let's try this. It's a new presentation tool. This is why I have backup plans with Lisa. One second. Here, let's try it another way. Thanks for your patience. One second. I have multiple ways to do it. Okay, I have it teed up. One second. I'll come right back to you. Darn. Here we go. Whew! Does everybody see this?
Yes, we see. Yes, it looks good.
Okay, thank you so much. I need a technical assistant. So this is the presentation that I delivered on December 5th at the Regional Priority Plan Stakeholder Meeting. And in these meetings, we've had 2 of them now. We are giving an overview of what the plan is for and what we're looking for in input from the stakeholder groups. So this was the last meeting that we had. We've been doing them in person and also via Zoom. And there will be another meeting coming up, most likely in late February. And all of you who are interested can let me know, and I'll put you on the stakeholder email list so you can be invited to attend. And this is a process that's ongoing for a while, so you haven't missed anything. It's just gotten started. That's why I'm sharing this with you now. This is the plan, the RPP that's being updated. This is the website for the plan that was created by the 2 RCDs. The slide deck has the link to the plan. I'll send Lisa the actual deck after this meeting, and you can go and take a look at the plan. It's a 176-page document, and that's the version without the maps in it. So a very comprehensive document. You can see what's in there. You can get familiar with this. This plan also gives a lot of background on the ecological history of the area, the cultural background, the economic layout of things, demographics, where the population areas are, where the undeveloped areas are. And then it includes details about proposed action, proposed work. So this is the RPP for the 2 counties. And then in addition, for most of you, if you're working in Contra Costa County or with agencies in Contra Costa County, this is of lesser interest. But if you live in Alameda County, or you know of others in agencies in Alameda County and want to let them know that we're updating this part, this is the Community Wildfire Protection Plan for Alameda County. And this is the link to that plan. Again, it'll be in the deck that we'll share out with everyone. This plan is a little bit shorter, about 40 pages long. It's a way less detailed approach because it's a smaller area overall. Okay, so for the RPP that we're doing, and that we would also like your input on, we first of all need to update the plan itself. But for our grant, the main deliverables that we have are to create this portfolio of what they're calling high and medium priority projects. This grant, again, came from the Coastal Conservancy, but the funding for this project, this update, came from the Department of Conservation with the state. And I had a conversation with them, a meeting with them, and they were giving some guidance as to what they're looking for. I asked them, what do you mean by high and medium priority projects? And they did not have a really clear answer to that. And the message I got is that it's up to us as the stakeholders to decide what we consider high and medium priority projects. So this is where your help is needed. We've been getting projects submitted to the RPP. In fact, we have a project that was submitted by the Contra Costa Water District for Los Vaqueros watershed project to bring water to the area to reduce fire risk so that if there's a grass fire, it can be suppressed with water. So they've submitted that as a project. It's on a list of projects we've collected for approval. So, hey, you may have some projects. Your organization may have some ideas for projects. We've also had projects being submitted having to do with things like education. There's a native plant garden. It's the Firestorm Garden where the Oakland Hills fire took place. There's a group that maintains a Firesafe plant garden there and wants funding to upgrade it and to do more educational work there. So that's something that's been submitted. So you may have projects, or you may want to work with a fire district on a project or another organization on a project. So in addition to getting the projects together, our job is also to identify potential funding for projects. And this is the part where I'm evangelizing strongly with the stakeholders, encouraging people to get in here. The Department of Conservation told me that in order to be considered for further funding, which they will be providing, that organizations need to be in the plan. And so I'm saying you if you have an idea, you should get in the plan, and you do not have to have it all worked out. You can be developing this over time, but if you have a concept and a basic sketch of it, please let me know. I'd be happy to work with you on developing a template for you to submit. And then if you're in here, you'll be in the running in some manner for funding potentially from the state. There's no guarantees of anything yet, but it is like being in the front row seat for a premiere of some show. You know, you want to be there. And in addition, Diablo Firesafe Council, as part of our deliverables, I'm using my fundraising background to begin putting together a list of other sources of funding, private foundations, government agencies, state agencies, federal, private money, so that if you're working with us and you're have a proposal for a project, we will be providing information and helping you to identify how you can fund it. I saw that there's somebody here from the Mount Diablo, from the state parks in the Mount Diablo district. I just want to pass on to you that in my conversation with the Department of Conservation, they specifically said that they would really like to see a proposal coming from California State Parks for Mount Diablo. So I'm going to tell you that we should probably talk offline about that if you have some project you would like to submit. In addition, the RPP will have updated data and maps that correspond with this new update and with the proposals. The grant itself covers the next 3 years, so there is lots of time. If you don't have a project right now, but you'll have one next year, you'll have another opportunity. Just keep submitting things to us. We need to refresh the portfolio ongoing during the grant cycle. Okay, so there's a lot of information, but I hope you're getting excited about this because it is really a very important opportunity. It's also an opportunity for you to be connected with other agencies or organizations for possible collaboration. Since we're sitting in the seat, Diablo Firesafe Council is sitting here and talking to everyone, we're starting to see where the potential alignments are and where possible collaboration is. And we're kind of matchmakers. We're making introductions, etc. So I mentioned the CWPP for Alameda County. I'll just gloss over this. If you want to pass the word along to others in Alameda County, I'd be happy to share this with you. Our progress, this screen is really talking about the kind of outreach we're doing. This is why I'm here with you today, is I'm talking to everybody who cares about fire safety in some way in this 2 counties. I want them to know what we're doing. This is our real big opportunity to get more organized so that things like what's happening in the Palisades fire down south, when we're up here together in this region, we have become so organized, so planned, so coordinated. We've done our preparation work that we're ready, like we were when the Keller Avenue fire broke out in October and it was suppressed in a day. We have to get that organized. So this is the kind of outreach that's needed. I've sent out 440 individual emails, had umpteen calls, meetings, steering committee meetings, and now I'm out evangelizing like this and having these conversations. So I also am very grateful for all the people who have been making introductions for me. So if you have introductions to make, please let me know. Or if you yourself would like to have a one-on-one conversation with me, I would love that. Please let me know how I can help. I'm going to show you some criteria. I won't go into all the details. It's in the deck that you'll get, but our steering committee for the planning process is defining criteria for what kind of proposals would make it into the RPP. And so these are some of the factors. It's fairly open-ended still. There's like lots of room for different kinds of projects, but we're giving priority to those that have some kind of a geographical focus, maybe boundaries for the project. They have to align with the fire priorities at all the different levels. They have to have a responsible organization. It would be great if they are cross-jurisdictional or at different stages. You know, as I said before, you don't have to have it all worked out. They don't have to be ready to go now. That could be something that's still being planned. We want things at different stages. The kinds of projects, as I mentioned, can be really diverse. Everything from emergency preparedness, fuel reduction, evacuation, equipment and personnel, capacity building, fundraising, capacity building, coordination, even prescribed burning, forest health, lots of things. If you have an idea and you're not sure it may fit, please do talk to me. These are a couple examples. This is all we're asking for at this stage. It's like less than half a page of text. This is the one that was submitted by the Contra Costa Water District, exactly verbatim as they presented it, as I gave them this template. This is what they came back with. It has the right things we're looking for at this stage, including the lead and the partners, a general time frame, the general funding, a description of what they're going to do. So very simple. We're trying to keep it easy for people. This is another actual example of a proposal that has been submitted, this time by the city of El Cerrito. So this has come through the city itself, city government, and the city staff. So a bit of a different type of approach, but this is also about fuel reduction in a public open space area. And also they're taking into consideration the removal of non-native plants, managing threats to native oak trees. So lots of very interesting aspects to this one. Okay, and so that's my quick presentation. I know I'm going really fast. I may have glossed over some things. You may have questions. I'm going to turn off the share. And I'd just like to really open this up to discussion. I'd also love to hear if you have ideas. This may be an area you're not normally working on, is the fire safety aspect of this, but I hope this has opened up your ideas and your creative thinking about what could be done, how we could work together. And with your involvement, we can do more to make sure that the plans are aligning and that everybody is going to benefit. So that's my scoop, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Polly. And as I mentioned in the chat, I will post the slide deck along with the meeting recording online. There is a question in the chat from Rebecca, and also a note from Aurora if you want to check those out. And then we can open.
Oh, Rebecca, yes, we do need a PhD for all this, don't we? So, so I want to say that I was so excited to have the conversation. I spoke with Carrie Richardson from the Contra Costa Water District. I'm sure some of you may know her. And to get that proposal, we have to think outside of the box, right? So it's not just like fire safety is this one little narrow area. It actually impacts everything. It impacts the ecosystems, our native plants, native animals. It impacts the people who live in the wildfire urban interface. It impacts at every level, from us personally to our workplaces where we are, the agencies that we're part of. So we have to think outside of the box. I know that all of you are going to have work that connects with this, and you probably have important work that you could propose that may be included in this that'll tie in with some of these other projects. So I definitely am encouraging you to think that way and to talk to me with if you're not sure, you want to explore, or even if you're the plan itself is not necessarily something that you can see an immediate connection with, but you would like to know more about Diablo Firesafe Council or the work that we're doing in Contra Costa County to help neighbors in this work. I'm very open to having a call or a meeting, and also to having your help to connect with others. I'm really having a great time. I'm meeting wonderful people like yourselves.
Thank you. So how can folks help or get involved with the Diablo Firesafe Council, and or, keep up with your latest news? I don't know if you have a newsletter or social media, or what's the best way for folks to tune in?
Yes, we have a newsletter, and you can sign up for that on our website. So the website address is, I can type it right here, is diablofiresafe.org. And if you are interested, I would be happy to put everyone from this group or others who aren't here today, anybody who wants to be on the RPP stakeholder email list. You would be invited to the next stakeholder meeting, which is, as I said, likely to be in late February. And then ongoing, you will get updates as to what's going on with the plan. You'll see what kinds of proposals make it in the first round into the update. You'll just be the first to know what's going on with that. And also you can get involved in other ways. So if you live in Contra Costa County and maybe your neighbor group needs help to do defensible space work, you should talk to me and we could help you put in an application for a cost share matching fund money to come to help you to do that work. We have digitized our application. It's on our website for neighborhood groups to apply. And we have a staff person who will be able to help you and walk you through the entire process and make it really much easier. We also are doing the home hardening work for Firewise communities at this time. If maybe you are part of a Firewise community or you know of a neighbor group in a Firewise community that would like to have a home hardening presentation from us, we do those for free. And we'll come with examples of materials and do a walkthrough of the home if there's a home that's hosting to look at what could be done to harden that home. And then, of course, I really depend upon people's connecting. So anything to connect us with agencies or groups in Contra Costa County that can help us. And then the last thing I'll say, and this is something we're not leading, but you should be aware of, is that the CWPP for Contra Costa County was last updated in 2015, so it's very behind. It's overdue for an update, and it was delayed because of COVID, so it's been postponed. That now needs to be updated, and I think it's next year that, that there will be a new process to update that. You can help your community by participating in that CWPP update once it's announced.
Great. That's all amazing information. And I know you mentioned the cost share program again, and when you mentioned it earlier, you had said, and I mean, maybe all this information is online, but I figured I'd bring it up in case people have other questions. But you mentioned that, for the communities to be able to participate in that program, that 5 or more households needed to be kind of applying together.
Yeah, as a group with one person leading, being the
So
leader of the group. Mhm.
would those households have to be contiguous, or could it be like in the same community working toward the same goal on a specific site? So I'm thinking of like groups like the Friends of San Ramon Creek, who do amazing work all over the subwatershed, the San Ramon Creek subwatershed of the Walnut Creek watershed. Um, you know, they don't necessarily all live next to each other, but they're
Yeah,
working on projects in their subwatershed.
they don't have to be contiguous,
Okay.
just working together. So we've done plenty of neighborhoods where a group of neighbors through the neighborhood, like an HOA type of situation, they're each doing individual work on their own homes, but it benefits everybody in the neighborhood. That's all that really matters.
Okay, that's wonderful to know. And I know Rebecca's also involved with an HOA. So, yeah, I think there's a lot more discussions to take place with
I love
lots of
it. I
people on
get it.
this.
I got a thumbs up there from Dick.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah, exactly. So I think folks are their wheels are turning for sure.
I see Aurora's comment, and I'm very excited to
Yeah.
hear that, Aurora. We would love to have a submission from you if you'd like to reach out to me afterwards. And I can just type my email here, although it will also be on the slide deck at the final slide if you need to contact me. But go ahead and happy to set up a call or just look for your email. There is an online submission form on our website for proposals to the RPP. There's a whole page on the RPP and the CWPP that you can also find to orient you, and resources that we're collecting for anybody interested in planning around fire safety. And I just appreciate, Lisa, that you've asked how people can get involved or help us. But I want to ask, I always like to ask, what can we do to help you in the work that each of you is doing in your own organization?
Yeah, so I think, you're coming to talk to us and share all this information is the first really helpful thing. And I think, continuing the conversations and just making sure that we're all communicating, because you can't know about the projects folks here are working on if we don't communicate. So I think just keeping those lines of communication as open is the best thing that we can do at this time. I really want to open the floor to anyone who has any questions or comments for Holly. I think I'm just really excited about being able to, thank you for your time, to be able to talk to you and really kind of explore some of these ideas. If you have a comment or question, feel free to open either, add it to the chat or go ahead and unmute yourself. I think we are all open to just kind of having an open discussion.
Don't be shy. Water and fire, it's the future.
a, a question, maybe you can help me. So at the moment, this is Aurora, by the way, the wildfire planner for, well, it's going to be from Mount Diablo. At the moment, we are struggling to kind of prioritize projects that we feel would be most beneficial from submitting to the plan. It almost feels like our vegetation treatment plan for Mount Diablo is kind of going to be the guiding document here that's going to help us with these priorities. But it almost feels like there's too much to choose from. And so I'm wondering, from your perspective, and I know that you from your perspective, do you have a history of past projects that have been kind of prioritized, and what are the elements of past projects that you have seen that kind of get bumped to the top of the list, I think?
Oh, what a hard question, Aurora. First of all, I'm new. As I said, I haven't gone through this process before. I'm also new to fire safety, and I just arrived, and I've inherited the plan. And Ben was the one of the masterminds of the current plan, and so we've used some of the guidance of the initial process and the criteria, and it's in the slide deck. You'll see it there. And as I said, it's pretty open-ended. So it's like, oh, I need guidance and I need direction. Well, it's gonna remain somewhat open-ended for a reason. But I would say this: if you have multiple projects, there's no reason for you not to submit all of them. Just show us, and we will be happy to incorporate as many of them as fit within the general criteria. There's no limit. In fact, they've said we want more. So we have, for example, Contra Costa Fire District, Confire, is submitting 4 separate proposals to this update right now. I'll be receiving them by Friday. There's no limit. We've had other agencies submit 2 or 3 and indicate they have 1 ready now, but they're going to have more. I want to emphasize it's an open-ended process. It's going to go through the end of 2026. You don't have to have all the answers, just the basic concept at this time. And again, I'll talk to you offline. We can work it out together. Maybe I'll help you sketch out what would go in it. I'll give you a template and we could talk about it. Don't be shy, and don't feel greedy. I think some feel like, oh, I can't really possibly submit 4 or 5. That's not fair. If that's valid work and it is high priority or medium priority, meaning it's going to help people or the ecosystem, it's important, put it in there. I don't know if that answers your question, Aurora, but I'm saying go for it.
I guarantee you we have enough work to submit for 4 or 5 projects. So you're telling me all the things I want to hear, Holly.
Yeah.
So as a follow-up to that, is it stronger or does it not really matter? But is it preferable to submit a group of projects together as one proposal or split them up into multiple different different ones? Like just is there something procedural about doing one or the other that might be beneficial to folks?
I think that's one where we would have to look at them together and see whether it somehow seems like they are components of one project, one master project, or if it's big enough that it makes sense to chunk it out in phases because it's not all going to be done right now. Maybe some will be done this year, some will be done next year. I think it's a call we have to make based on the content, but either way, it is possible it could go either way.
Got it. Okay, that's great to know. Yeah, it's kind of similar with other I mean, I know this isn't a grant program, but it's similar with other grant programs where you kind of have to make a judgment call on that. But it's good to know that it's kind of flexible.
Yeah.
So yeah. Other questions or comments?
Hi, Holly. I have a quick question.
Yeah. Hi, Joe.
Yeah, hi. Oh, and thank you so much for such a great presentation. It was super interesting.
Oh,
And
I'm glad to hear that.
I do just want to ask, and this isn't very project specific per se, but I figured I'd ask, what is your take or the Diablo Firesafe Council's take on possibly partnering for a prescribed burn association? I know that there are prescribed burn associations all over California, except for in Contra Costa County and Alameda County. And I feel like as a young person in the wildfire sphere and in the fire world, that may be an opportunity that is just there for the taking. So I'm really interested in that myself, and so I wonder what you think.
That's cool. So you're doing prescribed burns yourself, Joe, through your agency?
No. So I am a climate action fellow with the Contra Costa Resource Conservation District. And so mainly right now I'm working on environmental education, but I'm also working very closely with our wildfire coordinator as she puts all our projects together and I'm just supporting her.
That is awesome. So when you say partner, I don't know if you mean Diablo Firesafe Council partnering with you, or if you mean maybe considering a proposal for prescribed burn in the RPP. Is it one or the other, or both, or all?
No, so a prescribed burn association is a little bit different. It's a partnership of a lot of different fire agencies, just all over the county, that would offer things such as prescribed burns on properties. Maybe it would be more project management than actually putting the fire on the ground ourselves. But I'm just curious as to what
I'm
other people are thinking.
I'm very interested in knowing about that work, and as you may have seen as I went through quickly in the criteria for this plan, we do have an interest in prescribed burn projects. So there's definitely overlaps, but let's talk afterwards. At some point, you can email me and let's chat about what that could look like.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
Yeah, Joe, it might be helpful if you could provide Holly with a couple of examples of prescribed burn associations that you know of, so that
Totally.
maybe she can check that out. That would be
That
really
would be
interesting.
great.
That would almost be kind of more of like a planning
Mhm.
opportunity rather than just, yeah, a specific project, but it could
Exactly.
potentially make projects a lot easier to do with more planning help in place. So yeah, that's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, we're interested in exploring all possibilities. That's why the way that this update is structured is pretty expansive, inclusive, and lots of different angles to it, is to make sure that we're really considering the needs of everyone in the 2 counties. So, yeah, I'm open to all kinds of ideas and, connecting with the prescribed burn associations and other kinds of organizations too.